Hello, grade 7, and welcome to our online session for today. Today is October 4th, and it is Sunday. According to our weekly plan that I'm going to share with you guys today, if you guys look at the weekly plan, this is starting October 4th, ending October 7th. Thursday is considered a holiday for the 6th of October Armed Forces holiday. Okay, for today, as of Sunday, today in class, we're going to cover the kinds of sentences and we will answer the study guide review questions related to 7th grade by Gary Soto. Okay, the homework is going to be grammar workbook pages that I will specify for you guys on SMS, and I'll also post them on the Facebook group today so that you would know which pages you have to do for homework. Okay. So I would like to start first by covering the types of sentences. Okay, and if we look here together, if you guys remember that we have 4 kinds of sentences. Okay, so if we look at sentence kinds, all right, we have 4. We have number 1, which is the declarative sentence. Okay, and the declarative sentence here, I would just like to remind you before anything that the first letter of each sentence must always start capitalized, and you need to have a end mark, okay? And based on the kind of sentence, we usually insert the end mark that is eligible or related to the sentence. A declarative sentence is basically a sentence that is giving us information or a statement, okay? So if I say, for example, my friend will move to California next month. All right, this is a declarative sentence. It starts with the M is capitalized, it ends in a period. So the end mark for a declarative sentence is a this right here, and we call it a period. Okay, so this is what you need to call it. Okay, this sentence is basically a statement, okay, that provides statement providing information. Okay, so it's giving us information about when your friend is going to move. If I say, when is your friend moving? This is a question, an interrogative sentence. Okay, the answer to this question or the statement that is being provided is a declarative sentence. Okay, if we move on to the second type of sentence, which is our interrogative. An interrogative sentence, it comes from the word interrogation, okay? When you're being interrogated by a police officer, for example, you're being questioned a lot, okay? So an interrogative sentence is a sentence that is asking a question, okay? And of course, we know that we have a few words that are basically words that start questions, all right? Like, for example, the word what, okay? Or when. We can also use why, all right? Who. We also have how, okay? And these, let's not forget where, okay? And these are our words that usually start an interrogative sentence. And here we know and understand that these are obviously going to ask a question. If I say, who are you going with to school? When are you arriving from Italy? What is your favorite color? How are you feeling? Okay, where are you going? All these are questions. Okay, the next thing that I would like just to, get you acquainted with or bring to your attention that is very important, that interrogative sentences, not only do they start with these words, but you can see them starting a lot with what we call helping verbs. Okay, like for example, the helping verb can. Okay, if I say, can you walk me to the bus stop? Now, this is a question because you're asking someone if they are capable of taking a walk with you to the bus stop. And of course, this person is going to answer with, yes, I can, or no, sorry, but I can't. Okay? So here, the helping verb is can, and you have a verb phrase. Okay? Can walk. Your subject is you. Okay? So be careful from those types of sentences because even though they do not start with your typical what, when, why, who, and where, and how, but they start with helping verbs, and helping verbs a lot of times start interrogative sentences. Okay, another helping verb that you can probably think of is, for example, should. All right, should we wear a mask to school? All right, of course you should. Okay, so here it is, should we wear a mask to school? Should. All right, helping verb, your verb phrase here is should wear. Okay, again interrupted by your subject we. Okay, so be careful from your interrogative sentences that helping verb is usually a starter. Okay, number 3, we will move on to what we call the imperative sentence. Okay, and the imperative sentence is basically a sentence that gives a request or a order, okay, or we could say a command. All right, and in this type of sentence, the imperative sentence, we see that the subject is usually omitted. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, our sentence could start with a verb directly, giving someone an order to do something. Okay, it could also be a very polite request with by the usage of the word please. Okay, I can even mention a person's name. Like, for example, if I say John and comma, please pass me the salad. Now, this here, I am requesting, okay, in a very polite manner, for John to pass me the salad. This is an imperative sentence because there's a request, okay, or John is being asked to do something, okay? So, a lot of times also something that is very important, that a lot of times people think that John is the subject. All right, this is incorrect because John in this case is the person that we are directing our speech to. Okay, so we're directing our dialogue or conversation to John. However, in this sentence, if the question would say circle the subject, it is wrong to circle John because John is only here used for a person of direct address. That means I'm addressing him, I'm speaking to him, but he is not the subject. Okay, so you would ask yourself, who is the subject? And here I want to introduce to you the concept of the understood subject is you. The understood subject is you. Okay, very important for us to remember that because it is going to carry on with us until high school. So if you understand that concept now, it'll be easy for you later on. All right, understood subject is you. And you here is a pronoun that's going to substitute the person that you're basically speaking to, okay? Or you as in you, the person that I'm directing my speech to. So in this sentence, again, please do not underline John as a subject. You would just state that the understood subject is you, okay? I can also put another statement of such, um, finish your homework before you sleep. Okay, here this is again an order or a command starting with the verb finish. Okay, someone is being asked or directly given a request or a command to finish their homework before you sleep. Okay, again here, if I were to ask you who is the subject of the sentence, the answer would be the understood subject is you because no subject is stated in the sentence. And please do not say that your is the subject because your is a possessive pronoun showing that the homework belongs to you. Okay, so your, remember we agreed at the beginning of the year that a possessive pronoun can never be a subject. Okay, so please do not count your as a subject. Here the subject is not stated. All right, it's there are no names here, so your answer would be the understood subject is you. Okay, so this would be your answer for these types of imperative statements. Okay. The fourth and the final type of sentence or kind of sentence is your exclamatory sentence. And your exclamatory sentence here, the aim of it is to show uh, great emotion, all right? An emotion of excitement, all right? Or just extreme happiness, joy, okay? And I want you to be very careful from the word how and the word what, because I have agreed with you earlier that these are words that start an interrogative sentence or a question. But however, in an exclamatory sentence, these words can also show strong feelings, all right? All right, so we could say, how beautiful her gown is. Okay, so here I am showing strong emotion about how beautiful the gown that she's wearing is. Okay, what an amazing night. Okay, so again, here I'm not asking anything, I am showing how excited I am about this night. Okay, all right, so we could also have something like, wow, the couple won the lottery. Okay, again, here I am showing strong emotion. Wow, I'm surprised, I'm astonished, I'm excited about such a terrific event, such as winning the lottery. And the end mark here is a exclamation point or mark that goes at the end of the sentence. All right, don't forget that imperative sentences, here you are using a period, and for an interrogative sentence, you're using a question mark. Okay, so these are very simple. All right, always start your first word with a capital letter, and make sure that you always have a end mark at the end to match the type of sentence that you are dealing with. Okay, so these are your four kinds of sentences. All right, we're gonna answer for homework. Like I mentioned before, we will add for you guys the page numbers of which exact pages to do um, on Facebook group, or also check SMS. All right. Another thing that we are doing today in class is that we are covering and we're studying the study guide questions for 7th grade by Gary Soto. First, number one, we're going to have to identify the 5 stages of plot. And of course, if you guys remember them, we're starting off with the exposition. We're going into the rising action, stopping at the climax, going into the falling action, and finally the resolution. All right, we need to describe what happens at each stage from the story. All right, in the exposition, of course, we remember we have the plot, we have the introduction to the setting, we have the characters, and we also have the an introduction to the conflict. Okay, for your characters, you guys have Victor, we have Teresa, we have Michael, and we also have Mr. Bueller. Okay, and for your setting, it is Fresno, California, the first day of school, and it's fall, and we're in school, obviously. Okay, and we are in Fresno, California. Remember, city Fresno, the state is California. All right. As the conflict, we know the conflict is Victor. He is the main character of the story, and the conflict here is that Victor is trying to impress Teresa, and he wants to, make her admire him as much as he admires her. All right. The rising action, we agreed that is when the problem is becoming more and more difficult. All right. And here we see that the first thing or the first problem that Victor faced was when they met after homeroom, and they had a small talk. Victor tried to stay behind in homeroom to talk to Teresa. And when she said hello to him, he answered by saying, "Yeah, that's me." And it was such a we described it as rude and very awkward. Okay, so that made their first meeting, or the very first words that they exchanged on the first day of school very um, not welcoming. Okay, it made that was the first problem. The second problem that Victor faced is during break time when he was trying to find Teresa and he was unable to find her due to the fact that she was having lunch somewhere else. He tried to glimpse around to find her and he failed at doing so. Okay, the third complication that happened for this for Victor is, if you also remember, during English class when he kind of like used Teresa as an example of a noun as a person, and the class giggled and they realized that he has a liking or has a crush on her. All right, so that is also embarrassing for him. The climax, of course, reached when we are finally in French class. This is where he goes, he finally faces Teresa in the same classroom. And here he tries to impress her by faking his knowledge of French. Okay? In the falling action, we see here that Mr. Bueller does not embarrass him, even though Mr. Bueller, as a teacher, a French teacher, he knows that whatever Victor said had nothing to do with French, and basically it was him faking his knowledge and pretending to say words that are French, but it was far from it, and he decides to let it go and not embarrass Victor in front of the whole class. Okay, that kind of eased the tension because this is one of the things that Victor was worried about. All right, and finally, we the second piece of falling action is that Teresa actually bought she was actually convinced. All right, she was actually convinced that Victor knows French, and she even gave him a compliment on how impressed she is with his French. Okay, and she asks him if he could actually take the time to tutor her. Okay, the resolution is how the story ends. Okay, and we know that the story ends with Victor being very happy that Teresa was actually impressed by his fake French. He is very excited about seventh grade, and it's a good start for him. And he runs to the library to check out books, French books, to basically prepare and study and get himself on that level, so that when he tutors her, he's not making a fool out of himself. All right. Number two, of course, we know that Victor chose French, and why is because, of course, he gave two reasons. The first reason was because he dreams about going to France one day, and the second reason was because Teresa's taking French, and he would like to be with her in the same class. Okay. Number three, we saw a comparison between Fresno and France, and here the narrator has said that Fresno is basically very hot weather. Okay, in France, he mentioned the big churches and the big buildings. He mentioned cooler weather, and he also mentioned people with fair skin. Okay, like a lighter skin tone rather than the darker skin tones that they see in Fresno. Okay. Number four, how did Victor and Michael spend their summer? We know from the conversation that the boys had before they went to class is that they both worked in the vineyards. Picking grapes, okay, and the simile that was used in to describe that activity was they compared it to like living in Siberia. And if we looked at the footnotes, we saw that Siberia was a place in Russia that is very isolated and very cold. Okay, so of course we would understand that the boys did not enjoy this activity because no one wants to be isolated, being far away and alone from everybody else. Okay, but we understand that the boys had to do that so that they could get money and have a way to spend and buy their full clothes. All right. What is Michael doing differently with his face this year? We all know that he has been scowling, okay? And he picked this up from his brother's GQ magazine, where he saw that all the male models, were scowling. They were doing this look with their eyes and their face to look attractive and to look handsome. All right, and he was doing this because, again, he wants to impress the girls. Okay, he thinks that he will look as handsome as the male models, and he would be able to grab the attention of the girls with him in school. Do you think that his efforts are effective? Well, Michael thinks his efforts are effective. He thinks that he's doing a great job. But of course, Victor thinks he looks weird. And, Michael thinks that his methods are effective because he saw a girl look at him. So he thinks that the girl is looking at him in an attractive, like she's attracted to him type of way. But we can almost bet that the girl is probably looking at him like, you're weird. What are you doing with your face? Okay. So that's it for Michael. Okay. What is Michael? Okay. So number six, how was Teresa behaving differently than her other classmates in homeroom? We've mentioned that in homeroom, all her classmates were squirming. That means that they were moving around in their seats, unable to sit still, talking with their friends and acting noisy. And while Teresa sat basically alone, reading a paperback novel very quietly in her seat and behaving very politely and not causing much rowdiness. Okay, so this is how Teresa is different. All right. Again, Victor, number seven. Victor has already made up his mind about Teresa. He's already impressed with Teresa, and we know that he sees her as this amazing young girl. He talks about how smart she is, how intelligent she is in math. He also loves the qualities that she has of being very graceful. Okay, he loves the way she walks. He said that she walks very gracefully, meaning very elegantly, like a lady. Okay, very ladylike, very polite. He also admires her intellect, her academic skills. He sees her in homeroom and he spots her that she's very different. And that's what he likes about her. And remember, he did not just meet Teresa. Okay, the book or in the story, it has provided to us that Victor and Teresa knew each other since catechism class, which is a religious class, basically. So we know that he has he sees a lot of good qualities in her. Okay, number eight, how does the author describe Victor's embarrassment? He describes his cheeks becoming red uh, rose bushes. Okay, so his cheeks are becoming red. His hands and his palms are becoming sweaty. Okay, like rivers or like a river. Okay, so this is describing the sweat on his hands, the biting that he's doing on his nails and his hands, showing how intensely nervous he is because he is afraid that Mr. Bueller is going to embarrass him and let the whole class know in front of Teresa that this is not French, okay? So this is why he's feeling such way. Mr. Bueller, in number nine, he is the French teacher, all right? And he decides not to embarrass Victor because, like you guys remember, he has a small little flashback in his mind and he remembers the times where he was also a college student and he also pretended to be rich by borrowing his friends' cars to pick up the ladies and pick up his girlfriend with a different car every time. and the girl thought he was this rich man that had just several cars, and he spent all of his money until finally he ran out of money. He was broke, and he had to send a letter to his parents asking them to send him more cash. Okay, so he understands where Victor is coming from, and that Victor is probably going through the same phase that Mr. Bueller went through himself. So he saved Victor the embarrassment and let him be. Okay. In what way has Teresa positively influenced Victor? We see Victor, he's struggling with math. We know that that math is not his favorite subject. And I feel that one way that Teresa positively influenced Victor during break time, we see that Victor actually picked up the book and he was actually skimming through it. And even though he was not really paying attention to the pages and he was just like quickly eyeing it over, but we see here Victor attempting or trying to seem studious and take more care about his academics. Okay, this is number one. All right, so okay, so again here we are saying that Teresa could possibly have a good influence on him by pushing him to be more academically to be academically better. We see him already attempting to give math a try. Okay, maybe he's doing it to just gain her interest, but maybe it'll become one of his natural habits to study more. Okay, maybe during break, he can actually pick up a book and start reading. Okay, another thing that we see Teresa doing positively, that since now he lied about knowing French, he is now obligated to actually learn French. Okay, so now Victor is running to the library, getting checking out books to read and study more French. So again, we see that Teresa is leaving a good mark on Victor. She's in a very indirect way motivating him to become a better student. Okay. In number 11, we talked about the author. He's Gary Soto, all right, and you can read about him more in your book, besides the information that I have provided you with during our Zoom meetings, all right. And here we have discussed that Gary Soto himself, okay, his personal life affected his writing in more than one way. Gary Soto himself was raised in Fresno, California, and he uses that as a setting in his story. We know that he is an American author. However, he grew up in a Mexican household, and in his story, he uses Mexican American also characters. Okay, like Victor, Teresa, and Michael. Okay, and he himself, by the way, worked at a vineyard before, and he mentions that vineyards are very popular in Fresno because Fresno's weather is like perfect weather for growing grapes, and he himself has worked on a vine in vineyards before, and he mentions that a lot of Mexicans living in Fresno worked there. Okay, so he uses that also in his story to mention that Victor and Michael worked in the summer to raise money to buy their fall clothes. Okay, so this is how his personal life has affected his writing, and not to mention also the language. Okay, Mexicans speak Spanish, and we saw in the story that a lot of Spanish language was written in dialogue, in conversation between Michael and Victor when they call each other ese, like buddy or pal in Spanish. Okay, so these are the ways how the author's personal life has affected his writing. Okay, I just quickly answered the study guide with you, giving you a good revision about seventh grade. We have covered the four rather kinds of sentences. This is it for today's sessions. And if you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to message me. All right, thank you guys for your participation, and I hope that you guys found today useful. Thank you, and see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.